Teambuilder was just released a day ago. Happy College Football 25 Day. And I'm glad that we got Teambuilder. It was a surprise announcement that it came at this point. I did not expect it to come out today or yesterday, but I'm glad we got it in. And I'm not going to do a tutorial on how to create a team in Teambuilder. And if you are new to what Teambuilder is, it's basically a platform where you can create a team on your computer, on the internet, and then import that into the game so that you can play through a Dynasty or play now, which is pretty cool. But here are kind of like the options that you have. You have full ability to customize your jerseys, obviously your team name and location, stadium, all that stuff. But what's new from NCAA 14 is that you can now customize your field, and you can actually customize the colors of the field. Now, there is a downside, which we will see in the game, and that is the fact that, you don't have ability to choose a blank canvas stadium. You have to choose one of the stadiums that are already in the game that is assigned to a team. And you'll kind of see the effects of that as we look at some gameplay later, but you also get to customize your roster. So you get to choose a template, and we're going to start out with Cupcake here, and then you get to edit the roster in full except for the names. The names you have to do in the actual game. So once you load up the game, you go to the download center and then hit RB or R1 all the way over to my sharings, and then your team will be listed here. So you can see here the Milwaukee Pioneers. I created like a test team. They are there. You can also search for other teams that other creators have already created, and you can see what they have done and download those and use them as well. The only downside is when you search on the web, you cannot edit a team. So basically, you can edit your own created teams, but not anybody else's, which is kind of a bummer. But just looking here, you can also preview the school along with all of the uniform combinations. So here's the Denver Pioneers, one of the teams that I actually wanted to do as a franchise, or a dynasty, but a little too late for that. But looking at, all the stuff that is in Teambuilder, it's pretty cool. I mean, I highly suggest you guys check it out. But what I want to do today is go through a little playthrough of importing that team into Dynasty and seeing how they do. So remember, I selected the Cupcake base roster, and basically what happens is when you load up the Dynasty and you have to replace a team that currently exists, you inherit all of their school grades. So you can see here, coach stability is at a B-, academics is at a C, and I replaced Ball State in this example. So I replaced the worst team in the game and then imported a even worse team. So this is the Cupcake roster. So keep that in mind when you are starting your dynasty. What you replace will be your team prestige also. So let's just say in this world you replace Ohio State or Alabama, you will start out as a 5-star school. And if you replace Ball State, like I did here, you will start out as a 1-star school. So one thing with the building the roster on Teambuilder, you don't get to see the overalls. So I'm just going to quickly go through all the overalls of the Cupcake roster. So if you're looking to start a dynasty with the worst possible roster, you do have to choose the Cupcake template. And then these are kind of like the base rosters you will see here, the base overalls. You can adjust them as you please, the individual ratings, but the overall doesn't show in the editor in Teambuilder Online. So this is what it kind of looks like in the game. So we hop straight into the dynasty, and I kind of want to see how a base Teambuilder dynasty will do. Like, how does the game and the engine kind of treat you? Does it know that you're a new school? Does it not? We'll see, but I'm hopping straight into this FCS Midwest game right here versus the Coyotes. And one downside you'll see right away on the screen is that there was no introduction walking into the stadium, no team intro, nothing like that. You just hop straight into the gameplay, so keep that in mind as something to consider when you are starting a dynasty with the Teambuilder. The gameplay plays the same though. At least from my experience, there was no, difference there, but everything looks great. I mean, the logos look as good as they could be. The feel looks great. But there are a couple of things I do want to call out, which we will see in replay. The first thing I want to call out is that the field itself looks really good. Like if you look at the logo at the 50-yard line, you look at everything else, the color of the field, everything looks really good. But as we hop into replay, I'm going to go over some specific things that aren't so good. Looking at the end zone, as you can see, there is no text in the end zone, which sucks. So that is probably just a bug in the Teambuilder Online. There is no text in the end zone, but there is a conference patch in your field. So it will be at the 25-yard marker with every field you do. And that is pretty cool that that is in the game. But you can also see that UConn's backdrop is there. So like I said, when you select a stadium template, you have to select a active stadium. And I selected UConn's here, but you cannot get rid of their, banners and things in the stadium. You keep all of the textures and all that in the stadium, and you just kind of inherit that. But you can just see here on the close-up of the player, we do have the conference patch on the jersey as well, and that's pretty cool. But if you can get around those things, such as, the stadium text, what you see in the end zone, you can choose different end zones. It doesn't have to be just that blank. I could have chose, different patterns. But if you get over that, you don't have to choose that route right now. I'm sure they will fix that as a bug. And then also choose a stadium that you don't care about, the stadium textures around the stadium. This might be a good move for you going into the Teambuilder setting as far as Dynasty goes. But one thing to know is that you don't have any intro, which kind of sucks. Now, I don't know how that looks on the road, though, because other teams will have an intro, so you'll have the same animation running into the stadium as you do with away games. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. You'll just have, the away team running in. The home team will have their same intro. But looking at a season that I just simmed through, 5-7. We all know that, at least if you have been paying attention, the sim engine is a little broken, and I would expect the worst overall team in the NCAA to do worse than 5-7. We went 4-4 in conference play. I mean, that's way too good. So if you really want a challenge, I would probably make your Cupcake roster even worse, because that is just the base roster, and we went 5-7. And it was the MAC conference. That's something to consider, but still. I mean, 5-7 is way too good after, just being the worst team in the nation. One thing to note as well, if you keep recruiting on auto, you will probably get all 1-stars as that Cupcake roster. And depending on the team you are replacing, you can just see here, all 1-stars. I didn't see 1 2-star at all in this recruiting class, but it was on auto. So I just highly suggest you do all the recruiting yourself, because this is what the CPU will do for you on auto recruiting. You will probably have a bottom 10 recruiting class more than likely. So I would do that yourself. One thing I'm curious to see is how recruits kind of treat a team builder team. Do they want to come? And it looks like they do still. Like, there are players that still are interested in your school. Obviously, you're just pretty much replacing the school that you went into this dynasty with. So this is kind of like they're considering Ball State, but obviously it's, this Milwaukee Pioneers team. So I wanted to see how it was recruiting some guys in the transfer portal, starting with Devin Sherwood, a quarterback who would be our starting quarterback as far as caliber goes. He is the best overall player on our entire roster, more than likely. And then I went after a tight end here, Clay Bolden. So 2 test players here to see what they would do if I, went after them in the portal and seeing if they, would commit to our program. So we advanced on. And as you can see, we advanced to the last stage of recruiting here. And it looks like Devin Sherwood has a deal breaker now. And it looks like we're not going to get him because he has locked us out. And that's that for Devin Sherwood. Another tight end, Lance Langford, we went after. He was a 2-star. He also decided to go somewhere else. And then Clay Bolden. Now, the funny thing about him is that he now has a deal breaker of playing time, and it's now a D-. But we are the only offer, and he has a deal breaker. So we are number 1. Remember that. He has the deal breaker, which is now a D-. And now we advance on to our final stage here, and we look at our school grades. They have adjusted now. They said an academic prestige would not adjust. I thought that was over a C. But as we look at the recruiting class of the Cupcake base roster with auto recruiting on, we had to scroll all the way down to 130. So we were not the worst recruiting class, believe it or not, with 24 1-stars and 1 3-star. And the 1 3-star is Bolden. So Bolden, even though he had that deal breaker, does still end up committing. So the game has it baked in so that if you are the only scholarship offer for a player and he doesn't commit anywhere, he will just go to the top school that offered him a scholarship. In this case, that was us, but he did have the deal breaker. So I would have thought that he wouldn't commit, but he does commit anyway. And we end up with, like I said, the 5th worst recruiting class, but we do have now a starting tight end. The funny thing is his deal breaker was a D- for playing time, and he is our highest rated tight end. So as far as playing time deal breakers, the recruits weigh how many of that position you're going after, not necessarily if they're better. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So I just wanted to do a quick playthrough of importing a team into Dynasty and seeing how they do. And maybe it's something you consider in your dynasties, but it's definitely something I'm looking at because I was interested when this game came out to do a Teambuilder Dynasty, but obviously it's come out a few days later from the early access. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned on my channel. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but something is in the works for sure. But if you like dynasties, make sure to follow my channel. We have the Marshall Thundering Herd Dynasty right now, and then eventually we'll have a Teambuilder Dynasty as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I helped you out here in a decision to make for your dynasty, and I will see you next time. Hit subscribe, hit that like button, stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.